3, 2, 1, and we're live.
Hello everyone and welcome back to GPVWC. We've been away for 2 weeks as always, and we've returned with the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. This is round 6 of the championship, round 6 out of 16 in total, so we are nearing the halfway point in the season. Just 2 more races to go until we reach that landmark. Unfortunately, the championship is starting to look pretty one-sided, with Jan Grankvist finishing first and second in all 5 of the races that we've had so far this season. But that's not to say that the individual races aren't going to be bangers, because in GPVWC they always are. I'm being joined by Ryan Elliott, who I have just ticked off by saying that bikes are not quite as cool as cars. Ryan, do you want to continue that conversation now, or are we going to move swiftly on to GPVWC action?
I mean, I'm not going to completely continue it, I'm just going to tell you you're wrong and end it there. And we'll focus on some GPVWC action, because ahead of both motorbike racing and car racing, sim racing's the best. That's at least something I think we can both agree on tonight, especially when we're talking about GPVWC Super League.
GPVWC Super League always provides some cracking content. It's something that never fails to disappoint. But anyway, yeah, good talk, Ryan. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I love doing Super League Thursdays because it means that I'm not sleeping, it's Friday. And especially, I love Canada. Love this track. Some of my favourite ever Super League race until I was punted off was here in the Super Lights. Again, not for any major success, but just I love the track, love driving it. It's a real challenge. It's a bit difficult for racing, but as a driver, I just love it. And that final chicane is just an absolute thriller. The Wall of Champions, you know, it says what it does on the tin. Many champions have gone in that wall and Oh no, we won't see one today actually, because there is no former champions racing in this race.
So what's happened to Adam Maguire then? No, Adam Maguire's up
No,
there.
Adam Maguire is here. Yeah, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, come on.
He was champion. Oh goodness.
Anyway, but yeah, there have been some classic moments here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I don't know why I doubted myself there.
Yeah.
Fabrizio Gobbi's on the grid today. He's a former winner of this Grand Prix. I believe his only GPWC victory came here. And actually, I should get up that stat, former winners at this Grand Prix. I'll get that to you in a minute. But first of all, some of the headlines coming into this race include the fact that Tom Stevens is back. Now, obviously, he was intending to race last time out. The only reason he missed it is because he was having internet issues, so it was nothing to do with his ability or his willingness to race or anything. It was just to do with his ability to race. But he is indeed back, so hopefully can reignite that title challenge and stick it to Jan Grankvist, who has been rather running away with it. Also on the topic of driver changes, Jim Paresis is back in the TX3 car. Now Jim Paresis, you may not recognise that name. I recognise him from various other series, but he has actually driven in GPVWC Super League before. Way back in 2013, he was third in the championship with 3 straight victories. And his last GPWC outing was actually in 2018 at the Brazilian Grand Prix. That was his last Super League outing, because he did one Super Lights race last year. But amazing to see Jim Paresis back, and I will be very much looking forward to seeing how he does. We've also had a change in the Epic squad. Yannis Vorburn has returned to the field in that particular car. Not entirely sure why it's not Alessandro Maggio or Jarl Tyen, who are the reserve and emergency drivers for that team, but Yannis has made a comeback. He of course drove for the Holland racing team last season. So those are your driver changes coming into today. And as for the championship, Jan Grankvist said something rather dramatic to me before this race, which is that he feels that Super Venturi are about half a second off in terms of pace due to the various upgrades that have been brought in between races. I'm not entirely sure if I believe him. I mean, right now he's a second off, but to be honest, when it comes to Jan Grankvist, you believe it when you see it. Surely he's still going to be up there, at least fighting for some semblance of strong result. And even if he doesn't have the qualifying pace, he may well pick it up in the race. Ryan, what do you make of that? A driver coming into the race saying, "Oh, we're going to be half a second off." Do you think they're just kind of double bluffing the field, or do you think they're genuinely concerned?
I'm not denying that there will be a little bit off. The car is underdeveloped for this round compared to almost all of the grid. But he's just doing it to get in people's head, I think. There's been other previous rounds where he hasn't as developed the car as everybody else, and his worst finishing result of the season is second as it stands right now. So I think he's just trying to get the mind games in early. Every single week in the Super League chat, people are posting all sorts about like quality times that they're gonna get, or saying they'll either be way faster or way slower. So I think it's a similar sort of tactic from Jan. He's got the potential to do it, but yeah, only 8 minutes of the session to go. Not looking ideal now.
And of course, the most important few minutes of the session will be the last few minutes, because that will be when the track is at its fastest. There's Janos Brachok going up to 5th and being demoted by former champion Adam Maguire, the only former champion on the grid. And Philip Pushke, so you're double wrong. Sorry, Ryan.
Oh man.
I have got up the list of previous winners at this circuit as well. Philip Pushke won this particular race way back in 2016, racing for Vodball. We've also had Fabrizio Gobbi, who picked up his only Super League victory here, and of course he races today in the Virtual Drivers by TX3 squad. And then the other former winner on the grid today is Tom Stevens, who of course won it last year. Tom came into this season as the championship favourite, but unfortunately has dropped 60 points behind Jan Grankvist now, partly as a result of not being able to make the last Grand Prix. And of course, we have a brand new winner on the grid after the last race. Mark Schluter was able to put his car at the very top of the order, and he's doing pretty well in this session too, currently second position behind Tom Stevens. So definitely keep your eye on Mark Schluter today. I said at the end of the race that he's been on the up and up, and that's very, very true. His career just seems to be pointing skywards. So Mark Schluter cannot be counted out today, especially if his qualifying time is anything to go by. As back into the pits now goes one of your drivers, Daniel Stepkowski, Ryan.
Yeah, similar position actually for my team RSR this week. Underdeveloped car with a different strategy compared to everybody else. But Daniel at least proving that you can be in there and thereabouts in 10th place. Still Granquist in position 24th. He mustn't have done any kind of competitive lap, because he can definitely go faster than that. If he said he was going to be half a second off, that'd be putting him circa 9th position right now. We'll see Forney again a little bit loose out of the final chicane there. Let's see what he can do. Forney improves to 27th this time now. If having a torrid time this season. I don't particularly know what he's struggling with exactly, but things just haven't been going his way, and Wally especially.
Indeed. Hello to everyone in the chat. David Fidox here. Godona is here, of course, the team boss of the Stacks team. Liam Duval as well, who won here in Superlights a couple of years ago. Rodrigo Carvalho says, I'm now feeling like a grandpa for remembering Jim Paresis. Well, I do too, because he is here today. Christus Philo says Maggio is probably still ill. That is a good point. Unfortunately, Alessandro retired from the Super Lights race the other day because he was feeling under the weather. As Tom Stevens now goes even faster, I'll talk about that in a second. But yes, if that is the case for Alessandro, then hopefully he gets well soon. But anyway, that is a big lap from Tom Stevens there. 1:10.399. That's 0.36 faster than anyone else at this point in time. And as we head into the final 5 minutes of the session, that's pretty worrying for the opposition. You normally see it a little closer by this point. Of course, it is the last couple of laps that really matter more than anything else. But I tell you who will be a bit worried right now, Jan Grankvist, as Fabrizio Gobbi goes up to 7th position. Now, I was very much pressing X to doubt when he told me that he'd be half a second off. I was not expecting 1.2 seconds, so there's a chance he just hasn't hooked a lap up just yet, and he probably will eventually. But he's running out of time to do it, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know why, but for me this session feels like it's going very quick. Only 4 minutes left. It's a short lap this one as well, so we're seeing cars coming through left, right and centre only a minute and 10. Which means that, you know, you're looking... Top 20 is separated by under a second, so like even normally, you know, I'd be happy to be a second off in Super League, but it's still putting you towards the back end of the grid. Actually second, sorry, 21 places. It just shows how tight it is around a track like this, and anything, you know, half a tenth here and there will certainly jump you up a few 2, 3, 4 places easily.
Here's Luke Mitchell going down the back straight, heading towards the final chicane and past the Quebec Wall, also known as the Wall of Champions, but into the pits he comes. Jan Grankvist has just improved his time, but only gone to 23rd. Now this really is getting worrying, because by this point in the session, you would expect him to be actually pushing for times. You never know when it's going to be your last attempt. So for Jan Grankvist, this might actually be all that he's got, which would make this a very interesting session. A fascinating order. Dylan Fish has just gone up to P8 as well, although I think he's retired to the pits. I don't think he made it back to the pit lane after his lap, so we'll have to wait and see whether he gets another attempt. Matthias Moose has made it back to the pits now. Mark Schluter just set a purple first sector. Let's take a look at Mark Schluter if we can. because he is going quickly in the middle sector. There's another artificial chicane there. A little bit over the white line, but so long as the game didn't register it as a cut, then he should be fine. Up towards the L'Épingle, which is the hairpin at the top of the course. And then down the long back straight. There will be DRS here in the race, and it will be extremely effective. This is the main overtaking opportunity of the lap. His second sector not quite as good, not a personal best, so I'm not sure this is going to be enough for pole position. He heads past the wall, up towards the line now, and across the line for a 1:10.641. That's not good enough, still second position, but he does get within a quarter of a second of Tom Stevens, who still appears to have quite a significant advantage over the opposition at this point in time. Janos Brachuk here, if he does improve, will only improve slightly. And we're now getting to the stage where there will only be enough time for one last flying lap. It will be one flying lap in optimal conditions. So this is where you've really got to push, and we're expecting the fastest lap to be set. But right now, Ryan, it's hard to imagine anyone other than Tom Stevens setting the fastest lap.
Yeah, it certainly is. A quarter of a second to your nearest competitor is mega effort. I think Schluter, obviously, he'll be disappointed not to get that pole position, but he'll be happy that he managed to put a couple of tenths also to P3, to Matthias Nuss. It's given him a little bit of a buffer that'll help him out in the long run. Still, both SV cars down in the late 20s. Something really strange going on. I don't know if it's just because of their development choices as well. Like if we look at the RSR car with only 2 extra upgrade points, I think it is. Stepkowski P12, Wack P16. You know, we'd expect Granquist and Lalu to be able to do something a little bit more. Oh, Tom Stevens getting well and truly caught out by the wall of champions, and that can happen to anybody, even the man who's on pole by a quarter of a second.
Okay, well he could still get pole position. That will stop him from getting one final flying lap, because you cannot go back out into the track after you've ruined your car like that. And even if he could, there's only 10 seconds to go till the checkered flag is preparing to be flown. Jack Mayer now goes up to 18th position. We're still missing one car from the session. I'll have to work out in a minute what car that might be. But let's watch the final few flying laps to see if anyone can topple the smashed car of Tom Stevens from the top of the times. Here's Adam Maguire, currently P4, improving in the first sector, improving on his own time, that is. Now up towards L'Épingle. Viper, it says on the side of the car, that's the engine that's being used today. Viper, the only car to have spec'd, or the only engine to have spec'd into power upgrades. So this car should have plenty of punch down the straights. And now he heads towards the chicane. His second sector not particularly thrilling. Oh, and he's hit the wall as well, so no improvement for Adam Maguire. That'll be the end of his session. And you see he lost plenty of time with that incident at the final corner. And that looks like the end of qualifying to me. Daniel Stepkowski is coming up towards the line. He will be the last driver in the top 15 who could potentially improve his time. He now goes through the chicane as well. Just about avoids the barrier, that's the important thing. Yanis Vorburn goes 13th, but Stepkowski goes 11th, so demotes him, and also demotes Pansar and Mitchell. And that is indeed the end of the qualifying session now. So Tom Stevens is on pole position. I'll wait till we get the order on the screen to go through the rest of them, but it was a pretty comfortable pole position in the end, despite the crash. There he is, Mark Schluter, P2. Then it's Matthias Moos, P3, and then Adam Maguire, Janos Brachuk. Only the top 5 separated by half a second. Carlos Martin is P6, followed by Fabrizio Gobbi, who goes very well at this track, of course. Dylan Fisher is P9, Moritz Kropp is Fisher's P8, Kropp is P9, and then it's Ruven Machedi, P10. And a good position for Green Stripes. Daniel Stepkowski, P11. Robin Panzer, P12, then it's Luke Mitchell, Yanis Volburn, Zolt Shukes, Istvan Xingel, Chris Shepard, Tomasz Vork, Jack Mayer, and Jim Paris is on his return, is P20, after 6 years away from Super League. Jan Grankvist, championship leader, only 21st on the grid. And I'll explain a theory I've got about that in a minute. But yes, 21st on the grid, followed by Matthew Williams, Stein Hangraf, Heigo Poom, Philip Pushke, Jakub Egalalu, George Zalagianis, Germano Zapala, and Jeffrey Fournier. And there is still one car missing. Is it the second? It could be. Holland Racing Team have Matthias Moose, and they also have. Yes, so only one HRT is present today, and that is unexpected for such a professional team. There's still a chance they can get someone in for the start of the race, of course, so long as they're there during the warm-up session they could race. But yeah, that is unfortunate. We're used to seeing full houses here.
Yeah, so no Pascal Pollens. We're being told his internet died, which seems to be a regular thing in Super League. It feels like we have at least one around. But surprising that I think their reserve driver is Alex Lahoo. Surprising that he hasn't maybe made the jump in for the race, or he might just be finishing up with the R&D test session.
Okay, well,
might end up being in the race.
I've just been messaged by Dethan Routring, who is the team boss of Holland Racing Team. He says Pascal got a disconnect, but he should be back in time, so we're still expecting a full house of drivers, if it indeed goes well. Can we take a look at one of the Holland Racing Team cars? So Matthias Moose, if possible, on screen. There you see. Now, one thing that Dethan has asked me to point out as well is that the Armaroli sponsorship has gone green. It was white before, and that is because of it's done in recognition of an old friend of theirs, Marcello Armaroli, who they've been working with since about 2005. So a little bit more emphasis being put on that particular name on the car. And Matthias Moose hopefully will be joined by his regularly scheduled teammate before the start of the race. We've got about 8.5 minutes to go. As you see on the top left-hand side of the screen, this is just a little warm-up session. Doesn't affect the starting order or anything like that. So you don't have to worry if your favourite driver is miles off in this session or doesn't settle up, because it literally does not matter at all. Looks like we've had another disconnection though. We've got 2 cars missing now, so still hoping for a full grid, but we need to ask everyone's internet providers to behave, and yeah, did eventually get 30 cars to start. Ryan, so my little theory about why Jan Grankvist is so far off the pace, I've noticed in terms of the engine selection, that Super Venturi, both of the Super Venturi cars are running old power plants. They're both running power plants with only 36 to 39% left in them. That's got to affect you in pace somehow, right? I mean, I don't think it's 1.2 seconds, but I mean that's a little bit of a gamble.
Depends what your bigger picture strategy is, really. They knew they were going to have a less developed car around here. Maybe they're just seeing this, especially for Jan, where he's got such a big points gap in the championship, even at this stage. Maybe they're just treating this as a kind of like a buy run, like a free round to give away whatever they can afford to. Obviously, you'll want to be as high up as you can get, but they might have chucked in a poor engine while I had a poor car. Might not be a favourite track of the drivers as well. Sometimes I used to do that if I knew I wasn't quick at a track, I'd probably put a bad engine in. And when we're getting towards the European leg, we've got a lot of fast tracks. Monza, Baku, where we're going to need, the drivers will need strong 70% plus minimum engines. So, you know, they might be playing the long game.
I've just been asked to point out something on Carlos Martin's helmet here as well. That heart-shaped pattern on the front, on the top rather, is for some of his friends. It says Fino alla Fine or alla... Honestly, I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that 03 and A5 are the are representative of his friends' names somehow. But anyway, a nice little gesture. Sorry, Vince, do you have something to say about that? Yes, it is. Okay, thank you very much.
There's nothing offensive what you just set out.
I doubt that it would be allowed on the helmet design if that was the case, but there you go. So Ryan, I noticed as well that Jakub Lalu was a long way off the pace. He's about 26th in qualifying. You think this is a bit of a throwaway round for Sophie and Chiri, maybe? Just kind of send the cars out, see if they can pick up some points, but if not, it doesn't really matter much.
It's my personal opinion, but yeah, I think that is probably the case. I don't think they've gone and said like, oh yeah, let's just scrap this round. But I think they've thought about it. A few factors might have led to them choosing to do things in a certain way for this round specifically. But we've seen what can happen, and what has been happening in some of the races. We've been having, up to 5 DNF. So all it takes is for them 5 to be from the top, say 20 for example, and you're getting towards the points and you're in a race, and it'll be easier for them, I think, in the race than it is in quali. Quali, 100% maximise your car. In the race, they'll be able to conserve tyres, use safe push to pass, use DRS from cars in front. I think the race will come to them, and they've got the unlimited choice of whatever tyre they want to start on as well now, because they're qualified outside of the top 15. So they'll be able to go long if that's what they want to do.
Indeed. A couple of messages in the YouTube chat as well. Liam Deval says, looks like Adam Maguire, hit an invisible front wing in qualifying, not the wall. I very much hope not, because that's a glitch that I hope they would have fixed by now. It's been a glitch for a long time. I remember in FS1 one year in qualifying, this was at Monaco, Moritz Kropp hit a front wing and ended up heavy in the wall. That might have been in the race, actually. No, it must have been in qualifying, because what tends to happen is that you can't hit another car in qualifying. It is single player, but you can hit kind of debris if it falls off other cars, but you can't see it, so there's no avoiding it or anything like that. And it's really annoying, and I wish they'd have fixed that by now, but anyway.
Is the potential that could have been Tom Stevens' invisible wing?
It could well have been.
Tom that stacked it into the wall. It could have been his own teammate's wing. Maybe.
Rather ironic, but at least Tom Stevens' accident looked like a proper one. I've just noticed actually, can we take a look at Tom Stevens' helmet? I think that's a Roland Ratzenberger design, unless I'm very much mistaken. That looks like Roland Ratzenberger's helmet to me, so that's another fun gesture that we've got. Quite a few special liveries and special helmets and things that we've got today. I think we'd have to see it from the side to be sure, but anyway, that's just a little ad lib that I've got for you. One thing that I was told about, talking about Moritz Kropp, who I mentioned just a few seconds ago, he's actually driving on an unfamiliar simulator today. He said that he's away from home and he's keeping up a tradition of racing on other people's simulators whenever he has to. He says, as we're meeting up in Leeds this weekend, Chris and myself have decided that I will be doing the race on his simulator this week. I assume that means Chris Shepherd. He didn't actually specify, but I think that means Chris Shepherd. Oh, Chris Butcher, sir. Of course, because Chris Shepherd's in the race. Yeah, of course he is.
Chris Shepherd is in this race also, actually, yeah. And Chris Shepherd is definitely not from Leeds. That's fair to say. Yeah, he's very southern. But yeah, no. I didn't realise that with Moritz is over. I'm sure he'll have fun in Leeds. It's a good night out. I spend a lot of time there. My girlfriend living there. It's a great city. Good that he's had a chance to still be able to compete in the race.
Indeed, and I'm very glad actually that we're at the stage where drivers and teams message me with little tidbits like that before the start of a GPWC race day, and it very much does help with qualifying, or with commentary rather. So I do appreciate it. Yeah, I think that is a Roland Ratzenberger style helmet on Tom Stevens there. Nice little touch. Of course, Ayrton Senna was killed 30 years ago at the San Marino Grand Prix. But everyone forgets Ratzenberger, who died the same weekend, and I think that if you're going to commemorate Senna, then it just makes sense for some of the attention to also go to Roland Ratzenberger, who was a sports car ace back in the day, as well as a short-lived Formula One driver. Sorry, that was a inappropriate choice of words there. You know what I mean. He drove one Grand Prix, and yeah, unfortunately was taken too soon as well. So, 10 seconds to go until we get the checkered flag on this particular warm-up session. A couple more bits of news that I can tell you. We do now have a full house. All 30 cars are here, including Pascal Pollant, the second Holland Racing Team car. So, well done to everyone for getting back. Hopefully the internet providers play ball for the rest of the day. And the other little bit of news I had, I've just completely forgotten, so I hope that it comes back to me, because I definitely did have something else to say. But there you go, that's how it goes sometimes, how the commentary cookie crumbles. Well, Ryan, do you have anything to muse about before the start of the race?
There's one thing I was curious about. Do we know if Pascal managed to get any lap in for quality?
No, I don't think he got a quali lap, unfortunately.
Um,
Oh, that reminds me.
'cause-
Okay, so Pascal, yes, so he will have to start from pretty much at the back. But the thing I was going to bring up is that Geoffrey Fournier has a 5-place grid drop. Fournier qualified 29th, so that will mean he will actually start at the very back. So not going to really matter much. He's still going to be on the same row that he would have qualified on anyway. But I just thought I'd say that for the avoidance of any confusion. Sorry, Ryan, carry on.
I was just wondering because I think it was said that he disconnected in the middle of the session, so I wasn't too sure. But we'll find out any moment now, as the checkered flag has gone for this practice session. All the guys have warmed up, back in race mode is what I should say. A lot of them probably chucking on medium and hard tyres, and yeah, just bringing down the pace a little bit now, getting in the race rhythm.
So there you see the map of the circuit. To be honest, it's a rather simple design. It's just two long straights separated by hairpins, and then a bunch of little wiggly artificial chicanes and bits like that. It's based around the shape of the island that it's situated on in the St. Lawrence River in Montreal. And as a result, they have a very limited amount of space that they can actually work with, but still the track has changed a little over the years. Used to have a wiggly section where that long back straight is now, and I honestly don't know how anyone ever managed to pass anyone back in those days, because that is the only real overtaking opportunity on the lap, unless of course your opponent makes a mistake and allows you to get close. It's one of the most difficult circuits on the calendar, I always say that, and even without the final chicane, the quick flicks towards the end, you still have quite a few high curbs and close walls and grassy excursions to look out for. You often see at least a couple of little shunts here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. I remember being driven into the wall here in FS2 a couple of years ago on the first lap, and still haven't exactly got over that, because I feel like I could have had a good result that day, but there you go. Hello to Edward Hunter as well, says Ile Notre Dame, the baby. That is, of course, what the circuit is alternatively known as, and what everyone called it before it was known as the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And now we head to the starting grid. The drivers have got themselves into position. and we're about to head away for the formation lap. We're going to have 70 laps of racing today because it's such a short circuit. That's a full Grand Prix distance, and we're about to see the order that they will line up on the starting grid as soon as that is shown on our screen. So Tom Stevens takes pole position for THR. He will be joined on the front row by Mark Schluter, our newest Grand Prix winner. Matthias Moos is third, followed by Adam Maguire, and then look to Janos Bratchok, Carlos Martin, Fabrizio Gobbi, and Dylan Fisher, who did a very good job in qualifying, as was pointed out in the YouTube chat just now. Moritz Kropp, P9, racing on someone else's simulator, not bad at all. Pascal Pollens, P10, then Ruben Machedi, P11, and Daniel Stepkowski, P12. 13th place, Robin Panzer. 14th, Luke Mitchell. 15th, Janis Vulburn, and remember, 15th is the final points paying position. Zolt Schukes will be P6th, just outside of that. Isfang Singal, P17. I think that's his best qualifying yet this season. Chris Shepard, P18. Then is Tomasz Vlok and Jack Mayer. Jim Paresis on his return, P21. Jan Grankvist, P22, championship leader, has a lot of work to do from back there. Matthew Williams, I don't know why I said Matthias, is P23, followed by Stein Hangraf, Heigo Poom, Philip Pushke, Jukka-Pekka Lalu, and George Zalogiannis. And the final two positions on the grid will be Germano Zapala and Jeffrey Fournier, because I was wrong about Pascal Pollens not setting a qualifying lap. He will indeed be going from 10th position. Now, if it's okay before the start, I'd like to take a quick look at the tyre compounds that everyone's starting on, if you have those to show us, Vince. Because this is crucially important here. It's a difficult track to overtake at. So the strategy is Dylan Fisher. Oh, Fisher's starting from the pits. Okay. Yeah, I can see that on my... What's that, sorry? Stein Hangraf also starting from the pits, but Dylan Fisher I'm especially surprised about, because he would have been over the moon to start within the top 10. That is rather surprising there, but anyway, we've got the top 18 cars starting on soft tyres. Tomasz Vlok is the top driver starting on mediums, and Jim Paresis will be the only driver going off the grid on hard tyres. So keep your eye out for the drivers on alternate strategies. Looks like the Super Venturis are both on medium tyres as well. No real surprise there. They've got to do something different today.
And sorry, Moritz Kropp as well in the pits.
Yeah, he's only just gone back to the pits. What's all this about? So we've lost 2 of the top 10 who are in the pits now. And you see the lights illuminating at the front of the field, and we're away! Away we go towards the first corner. Tom Stevens covering off Mark Schluter immediately. He will reach the first corner ahead. Look at the second THR car of Adam Maguire getting up the inside now of Matthias Moos, and getting up into P3. Behind them, Carlos Martin and Janos Bratchok debate P5, and it's going to be going the way of Carlos Martin. Looks relatively clean so far, but we've got a lot of lap left to go around, and I'm still very confused as to why we saw 3 people starting from the pit lane, especially 2 from within the top 10, because normally if you see people starting from the pits, it's because they qualified a long way down. You want to
being told it was a crash.
A crash on the
formation lap crash.
Good lord. Well, we'll have to find out more about that in due time, but anyway. Okay, so look, at least the start of the race has been relatively clean. Tom Stevens still leading, followed by Mark Schluter and Adam Maguire, and we now head down the back straight. This is where you start to see overtakes and slipstream coming into effect, and as the race continues we will start to see DRS being enabled and being available down that straight as well, which will be crucially important and very, very powerful indeed. At the end of the first lap, it's Stevens, followed by Schluter, Maguire, Moos and Martin, and everyone makes it around the first lap. Very good to see, Ryan.
Well, if we say made it around the first lap, some of them didn't make it around the formation lap. A little bit weird. I don't think I've ever seen that in my time commentating, but yeah, everyone's slotting in now. DRS not available just yet, but the trains will start forming, I am sure.
Indeed.
Looking at some movers, Jan Granqvist up 4 positions into P18. Could he be going for a not quite last to first, but at the back to first challenge, maybe. Shepherd as well, flying up in 13th as well. Good effort from him. Obviously, a lot of these benefiting from 2 positions from the top guys pitting early. And we've had our first DNF of the race as well. Germano Zapala has DNF, not too sure why yet. Hopefully we can get a replay of that one.
Unfortunate. So 29 cars still remaining at least. And yes, very, very strange to have a crash on the formation lap. It was, I mean, I got rammed into in an academy race about 4 years ago on the formation lap, but that's academy. You really do not expect that kind of thing from GPVWC Super League, and I can't see it on the replay or anything like that. So we will have to find out more about that in due time. Back to the race though, we've completed the 2nd lap of the race without major changes, but the 3rd lap is the most important because from this lap, DRS will be enabled. There are 3 DRS zones on this track. One of them is heading out of this chicane that they're in right now. You can see the DRS closing on the back of the cars as they go into the braking zone. The 2nd will be down the long back straight, and the 3rd will be the start-finish straight as well. So plenty of opportunities to get closer to the car in front of you, and you need to be outside of 1 second ahead of the car behind you in order to break away from that advantage. Look at that DRS rear wing flap opening down the straight as Mark Schluter attempts to keep up with Tom Stevens, the setter of the early pace. Out of the final turn on this particular lap we go. Little bit of dust. even if you're a lot faster than them, you know in the chat if you can hear us. Liam says muted.
I've got the stream open, so if I start hearing myself, I know we are good. Yeah, so can't hear us on the stream.
Yeah, Vince, this is definitely on your side. I'm sorry.
Yep, and we are back.
Are we back?
We are now back. Yes, I've heard our voices coming through on the YouTube stream. We thought it was actually just our factor that was dying for us, but Discord also went. Thank you to Ed Hunter for pointing that one out.
Yeah. We've just been talking for the last like 10 minutes or so. I had no idea that you couldn't hear us. But anyway, what we were saying, and what we should have said, is that apparently Mark Schluter's just taken the lead. Now, we can't see that because the broadcast machine is still down on my end. But I'm being shown by RaceView right now that Mark Schluter is leading the race by 0.6 of a second from Tom Stevens. Adam Maguire is third, then Carlos Martin and Matthias Moos are fourth and fifth. We've lost Germano Zapala. I'm not sure if we told you that or whether that was before we or after we cut out. So 29 cars still remaining. I might as well run you through the full order since we can't see anything. So it's still Schluter leading, then Stevens, Maguire, Martin, Moose, Bratchok, Machete, Pollens, Gobby and Pansar. That's the top 10. Then Stepkowski, Shepard, Woolburn, Mitchell, Xingel, Grankvist up to P16. Then Mayer, Williams, Wok and Poom, the top 20. Zalagianis, Lalu, Fisher, Kropp, Hangraf and Parisis, the top 26. The next 3 cars are showing up in red, so that either means pit stops or they're out. So that would be Jeffrey Fournier. Well, Zoltschuk is just past Pushke, so I assume Pushke is either in the pits or having another kind of issue. Now, we were just talking about pit stop strategy as well, so I might as well reiterate what we were talking about. I said that on one hand, you really don't lose that much time by pitting on this circuit. Jukka-Pekka Laulu told me it was about 18 seconds, which isn't that much in the grand scheme of things at all. So that would point towards this being a race with more pit stops, since you lose less time. However, on the other hand, as you see how close the top 4 are there, heading down the back straight, the top 5, look at Carlos Martin. Oh, and my stream minimized itself right as that happened, and Martin has got through on Adam Maguire, so Carlos Martin now up into P3 as we power our way on and towards what may be the first of a couple of different pit stop strategies. But yes, the second thing I was going to say is that it's very difficult to overtake on this circuit. We may have 3 DRS zones, but we don't have many other opportunities to overtake. And you can only really pass on that long back straight heading towards the final chicane. So that would point towards a race with fewer pit stops, because you don't want to find yourself behind anyone. I was told that 3 stops are entirely possible and indeed probable. I'm not entirely sure about that. I think if I came into this race, I would come in with the assumption that people were doing 2-stop strategies. So I would definitely keep your mind open to both 2-stop and 3-stop strategies. 1-stops are pretty much impossible. I would not expect them today unless you're very, very good on tyres, absolutely tiptoeing around. And 4 stops I think would be very excessive. So 2 or 3 stops should be the order of the day. Chris Shepherd is in the pits now, so potentially a 3-stop strategy for him. Anyway, Ryan, we are indeed back. What do you think of the race so far, the tiny bit that you've seen of it?
I'm absolutely good. We missed the overtake for the lead. Poor Schluter's going to be gutted when he comes back to watch this and sees that he didn't get picked up making a move for the lead. Interesting though, Carlos Martin right up there, P3, and well truly on the offensive as well. He's just past Maguire that we saw, now going for the other THR car, trying to get right under the rear wing of Tom Stevens there. And already putting a little bit of a gap on Adam Maguire as well. Is he going to DRS for both of these guys this time? He's going to go at the inside as well. Looks like he's got the move done.
And just as he did on Adam Maguire a lap ago, Carlos Martin goes through into 2nd position. That car is a rocket ship in a straight line and has the pace to do so as well. Just been a change. Pascal Pollens has got up to P7 ahead of Ruben Machedi. So that was a change of position. And here is Luke Mitchell. Now we're in a strange situation where some of the people in the chat actually know more than we do about what's been going on track. Ed Hunter says that Schluter is going to be really annoyed when his brilliant move for the lead was completely missed due to the stream dying. So I assume that whatever Schluter did, it was daring. And he also says that Grankvist passed Mayer and is the leader of those on medium tyres. So that's good to see. We've got a new driver in the prime position to benefit from an alternate strategy. I believe in America they call that the catbird seat, but I still have no idea why, because that sounds like just a combination of words squished together. But anyway, Carlos Martin now is tucked under the rear wing of Mark Schluter. He has the DRS, and he's going side by side with the Edge Esports car in the straight line, and through into the lead goes Carlos Martin. And into the pits now comes Mark Schluter. So Schluter coming in, this is still quite early. I still think this actually might be a 3-stop strategy for some of the leading cars. Martin leads, followed by Maguire and Stevens. And that TOP Esports car is absolutely rocketing down the straights. Maguire's now up to 2nd ahead of Stevens, so they swapped on the straight. And that is a change for the THR cars, Ryan.
Yeah, clearly Stevens doesn't think he has pace at this stage of the race. I don't know what's going on. We saw a massive slide there from him as well. He's just going backwards. He was quarter of a second clear for pole position and really struggling with this race. But Carlos Martin, what's happened with him? He's flying and gone yellow as well in sector 1 now. Is anybody dropping down the order? Yeah, it looks like Paris is DNF.
And that is a big shame for Jim Paresis, his first Super League race in 6 years, and his third DNF in a row if you take his past Super League results. I am looking back to 2014, since he only did one race in 2018. Look at Matthias Moos now, slipstreaming his way past Tom Stevens, who is trending definitely backwards here, and I'm not entirely sure why, and he's now in the pits. So Tom Stevens decides that it is the ideal time to duck in. Now, as Matthew Williams takes a look at Mark Schluter in front of him, I'd like to keep my eye on Mark Schluter here and see where he comes out in relation to Tom Stevens, who's just pitted. There's a complicated pit exit here where you cut the first couple of corners. Now, where is Tom Stevens? He is behind, quite a few cars behind. Look at that. So Schluter has Williams, Poom, Woch, Lalu, Zalagianis and Handgraf. And Shepard too. Stevens is back in the pits. Wait.
He hasn't left the pits.
Is he? Yeah, that's true. He kind of come back into. Is that a glitch potentially? It just hasn't updated.
Maybe. I do think we have seen that before.
That's true. Right now. That did look like a really long time though, because remember, he was close to Schluter before all of this. He's now maybe 10
had a
seconds
penalty?
back. What is that all about? If anyone knows, please do let us know, because yeah, Mark Schluter, he's 20 seconds behind Mark Schluter. That's like an extra pit stop.
Maybe damage, he maybe accidentally repaired or something. I think if he had a penalty, it would have popped up on the screen. I think we would have known about it. Maybe he accidentally repaired damage.
Where would he have got damage from? I mean, we did miss about 9 laps of the race, but still.
It might explain why he was going backwards as well.
Ah, that's a really good point.
He lost a bit of time to Schluter, and obviously then Schluter took the lead. Maybe it was he hit a wall and that's how Schluter got the lead. I don't know. We missed so much of this race. It's really hard to tell. I'm sorry we can't finish the story for you guys at this time. I'm sure it'll get picked up in interviews. But yeah, it's gone from hero to zero right now for Tom Stevens. It's certainly not going his way this evening.
Okay, well, a couple more updates. Jaakko-Pekka Lalu came into the pits on that last lap, along with a sprinkling of other names. We had Adam Maguire, Ruben Machete, both of those drivers pitted. Jannis Volburn came in, Stein Handgraf came in. It does look like 3 stops are entirely possible. Liam Duval says that we literally saw on our screen that Tom Stevens hit the wall. I must have been looking at the live timings when that happened. So a couple of different things to be concentrating on there. But thanks for letting us know, Liam. We've got. Sorry, just trying to keep up on what's going on here, because we've got both strategy and passes on track to be dealing with. Mark Schluter is back to the... No, sorry, looking at the replay there. Mark Schluter is currently running in P8 as it stands, as Hygo Poom now fights with Tomasz Vogt. So Carlos Martin leads the race by 5.5 seconds ahead of Matthias Moos, and then Jonas Brachok in 3rd position. There's Adam Maguire going up the inside of Jack Mayer and getting that particular position done. Now Maguire, you'll notice, is only 1 position behind Mark Schluter. Those two are fighting for position despite the pit stops that have taken place and the drivers who have dropped back, so that is a pairing to keep an eye on. Martin pits from the lead, and it looks like Matthias Moos is also in. I hope they know where the other car is, because yeah, they were kind of holding each other up in the pits there. You're always worried that someone's going to pull out into the fast lane, not knowing that someone else is alongside them. That was Robin Panzer coming into the pits there, and very sensible driving from both of those drivers. Martin on the outside now, on the outside of Daniel Stepkowski, and puts a car between himself and Adam Maguire. But Mark Schluter maintains the lead. So Mark Schluter, who we saw Carlos Martin going past just before the pit stops, will be in the net lead. He's got back past Carlos Martin. And realistically, appears to be the biggest gainer from this first pit window. Mark Schluter P4, Carlos Martin P5, Adam Maguire P6. That could well end up being the net top 3, Ryan.
Yeah, it's funny how this race is shaped out. I did not expect it to be the kind of order that it's in right now. Martin was very lucky to get out just ahead of Stepkowski, sorry, and then getting past May. Like, it could have been a very different situation. He would have been stuck for a lot of the lap up till probably about this straight. But at least now that he's got the fresher tyres, he can make a push and hopefully close that gap on the Schluter.
More pit stops. Bratchok, Polens, Gobby, Stepkowski, Granqvist is in. Tygo Prue into the pits as well. We've got some drivers going for hard tyres. Matthias Moos, one of the top drivers to go for hards. There he is, coming out just behind Janos Bratchok, who pitted from the lead. So Mark Schluter goes back through to the lead of the race now from Carlos Martin. Less than a second between them though, and that's important because we saw how effective that TOP Esports car was in a straight line and how fast Carlos Martin can be. There is Carlos Martin now, second place in the race, running over the curbs. In danger of dropping outside of that DRS range, but he's just about there for the time being. Just about close enough. Down the straight we go now. Mark Schluter probably watching his mirrors, probably dreading the next kilometre or so of the race. Here comes Carlos Martin. He's not going to be close enough for a move this time around, but look how close he gets. Less than a quarter of a second behind Schluter by the time they get to the chicane. It shows you just how fast he is with the slipstream, with the DRS, with the throttle down to the floor. Matthew Williams into the pits now as well from the top 10. Jack Mayer's staying out rather long in the TOP Esports car. Jack Mayer, of course, was one of the drivers who started on the medium compound of tyres, as did Jan Granqvist, but Granqvist pitted before. Granqvist down in P21, just in front of his teammate here, but making up a position as Matthew Williams exits the pit lane. Side by side for Wach and Shepard. That's a difficult section of track to race in. And Wach holds off Chris Shepard there for P12 as they head into the middle sector. Martin, meanwhile, is much closer to Schluter on this lap than he was a lap ago. Surely he's going to have a look here down the straight, Ryan.
Yeah, you'd be surprised if he didn't. He's obviously got Maguire as well behind. He needs to, not actually that close at all. Martin now pulls out to the inside, gets the move done even before they get to the braking zone.
That car is so fast. The TOP Esports just shoots past Mark Schluter in a way that we haven't seen from other cars in this race, and there's contact! And off goes Janos Bratchok. He was hit from behind by Ruven Machete after making an overtake. He got tagged around. That's so easy to do because when a car gets in front of you, you lose that downforce, you lose a little bit of braking performance. And unfortunately, it was Janos Bratchok who came off worse, and that's going to cost him not just time, but positions as well. Talking of positions, Ed Hunter points out that it's interesting that even with his repairs, Stevens still came out in front of Jan Granqvist, showing you just how much time you lose by qualifying so far down the field. And that is very true, because Stevens is currently 15th in this race. Not exactly ideal, but still plenty of time to go. And yeah, the general consensus seems to be now that he did indeed have damage. He was crabbing down the straights and had to repair that in his stop, which cost him a heck of a lot of time. Here comes Adam Maguire now. You can see him approaching the tail of Mark Schluter's car, but Schluter himself has DRS, creating a little bit of a DRS train where his car is harder to overtake, and therefore Maguire, despite the overspeed, is not able to quite get through. We complete another lap of the race. Down the back straight, Wach, Xingel side by side. Istvan Xingel now through into 13th position. I think Stax has a slightly different livery than the one they started the season.
They do.
It looks similar from the side, but from the front it's got a different profile to it, doesn't it?
It's a completely new livery for this one. It's the team's home race as well, I believe. Yes, it is. So I'm not sure if it's going to be a one-off or for the rest of the year. We'll see. Probably depends if it gets a point or something today. Which it looks like there's a good chance of doing.
Is Adam Maguire once again on the back of Mark Schluter, but Schluter will still have DRS from Carlos Martin. This time he's closer though. Can he do anything? Weaves a little just to show himself to the mirrors of Mark Schluter. Not that that's going to do much. There's a lot of straight left to regather your thoughts. Through the chicane we go, taking a lot of curb. And a little bit of grass kicked up by Carlos Martin as well. Hopefully not more than that. I'm afraid we lost Philip Pushkate. That actually happened a little while ago, but I wasn't able to bring it up because too much was going on. Pushkate, who won this race back in 2016, unfortunately will go no further today. And that means that we have 27 cars remaining in this race. Tomasz Wok into the pits now. Poor exit from the corner for Hygo Poom. That'll give Moritz Kropp a chance to go through into 22nd place. And Poom cuts back to the inside. But that will of course turn into the outside. Still manages to find the grip out there. There are a couple of alternate lines you can take. Little bit of a rub of wheels. And goes through into the chicane. So Hygo Poom back through into 22nd. Aggressive driving, just did not want to let Moritz Kropp go through into 22nd place. Despite no points on the line just yet. Here comes Adam Maguire. Talking of points, second place will do him a lot of good. And Maguire has got it done on the straight. So Maguire finally goes through on Mark Schluter. And that is because Schluter lost the DRS from Carlos Martin, was not able to open that rear wing flap. And so he was vulnerable, a bit of a sitting duck down the back straight. A sitting duck on the Lawrence River. And Tom Stevens is still making up places. This is for P13 now on Istvan Xingel. Tom Stevens is still going to score points if he keeps this up, despite the damage he picked up earlier on in the race. And that was a good lap for THR all in all.
Yeah, certainly going further forward for THR. Thomas Wackos down in P25 now after his pit stop. He was one of the medium starters as well, so he'll be trying to go long in this stint and pulling Jeffrey Fournier along. And now jump up to the battle for what is P5 here. Pascal Pollens trying to attack Ruben Machedi, just keeping close through the twisty bits, ready to set himself up for a nice bit of DRS here. I think all these cars are going to have it, apart from the leader, which is most of this pack. So let's see, as we jump now, sorry, back to the fight for second position. Martin just put in some really fast laps in here. He's managed to build up to almost 2 seconds of a gap to these guys as they're starting to wobble away a little bit. If you don't think quickly, you might struggle to catch up next time we get into the pit stop phase. It might extend that lead. Obviously got fresher tyres as well than the likes of Schluter does Martin.
Yeah, apologies for the slightly weird noise. That was me elbowing my microphone while trying to see what was going on. Looks like Ed Hunter's got his maths cap on. He says that that was an important move for Maguire, because now that he's ahead of both Schluter and Stevens, he could take second in the drivers' standings. And I believe that's... As I wallop my microphone again, I will move it slightly further away to make sure that doesn't happen. My apologies. But yes, I believe that is true actually, although I do not quite have the time to work that out as Ed Hunter has done. Carlos Martin has now extended his lead to 1.9 seconds by the look of it, so not only has he pulled out of DRS range, but he is absolutely booking it up in front. He does not want to let his opponents have any kind of advantage whatsoever, and with this race being so heavily strategic, that could end up being all important towards the end. As we look at Ruben Machedi leading Pascal Pollens for P5. They've got Robin Panzer in close company. And wide goes Machedi. He's going to be all over the grass. He's all at sea. He's hung out to dry. And Pascal Pollens goes through into 5th position as a result of that. Now he's got Robin Panzer in his tail. Fabrizio Gobbi and Janos Bracok are both within a second of each other as well, and within a second of him. A little mistake there for Ruben Machedi. He was lucky to only lose one position in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, he held on to it well, didn't he? But the two HRT cars now 4th and 5th, really good outing for them. That's a really strong set of points that if they obviously hold these positions. Oh yeah, man, I bet Machedi's feeling a little bit on edge after that one. Done really good job to hold on to that, but he could now instantly get attacked from Robin Panzer as well. Will he have DRS? Yes, he does have DRS, but so does Panzer. He pulls to the inside, looks to get the move done, and it looks like he's going to do it as well. Yes, he does. Up into P6 for Robin Panzer. Machedi going backwards.
Panzer through. That move pretty much started at the first corner of the last lap, which shows you just how difficult this corner is. You're basically turning and braking at the same time. That's why I was so delighted to see everyone get through there cleanly on the first lap of the race. Meanwhile, Tom Stevens has made up another couple of positions. He's up into P11 now, so he passed Chris Shepherd that last time around. Could still be on for a top 10 today, providing the rest of the race goes well for him. A couple more moves further back in the pack as well. Dylan Fisher is nearly into the top 15. Looks like Zolt Schukes is out of the race, so we've had 4 retirements. Oh, and into the wall goes Janos Vulburn, and that will be heavy damage. The car looked as if it was all at sea and crabbing down the straight. Janos Vulburn will struggle to get that one back to the pits, I'm afraid. And we've seen that wall hit many times in reality. I was expecting to see an accident there on the first lap of the race. And you can see how much damage it's done. He's not even trying to turn in for the corners. Just cuts straight across the chicane. And this may be race over for Janos Vulburn, Ryan.
Yeah, never nice when your car's crabbing like that. It's basically a day over. Will he continue? I'm not entirely sure. He might, you know, at the end they might send him in to try and take the fastest lap away from one of the whoever's got it at the moment. I'm not too sure.
Still open the DRS on that straight there. I don't know if I'd do that, but anyway. Looks like we've caught the replay a little late, but we'll try to get it for you and see what exactly happened. Shimon Frelick says he thinks he's Tom Stevens. Yes, indeed. Well, Tom didn't do it quite as dramatically as that. He just understeered into the barrier and then, to make matters worse, got caught on the grass and hit the wall again. So the car doesn't tend to like that, funnily enough, when you ram it into a solid concrete wall. No safer barrier there, as they call it in the States, in North America. Just a pure concrete wall that doesn't do your car any good whatsoever. Here's Mark Schluter keeping up with Adam Maguire, who dips wheels into the grass. Careful not to do what you did in qualifying, Adam. Still not sure whether that was caused by an errant front wing or whether he hit the wall properly, although we know his teammate's been into the wall there. Here's Matthew Williams on the back of Dylan Fisher. Now, I believe Fisher only got past Williams about a lap ago, so this will be a take back of the position. And up in front of them, we saw, I think it was Mayer and Xingel going side by side. Mayer up to 14th now.
Not bad at all from Jack Mayer, is it? He's been a really good stand-in driver for TOP. Obviously losing Magog is massive, but he's certainly done what he needs to do, and well, Charles Martin leading the race is doing what he needs to do as well. 3-second gap now to Adam Maguire. It's mighty impressive, and all of these guys are just gaining so many points on Jan Granqvist, who's currently not scoring any.
I would be surprised if Granqvist doesn't score any points today. Admittedly, he is outside of the points now, but we know Jan, he is a fighter. And of course, being in contention for the World Championship, he will fight until the end. Plenty of time to go. We're not even halfway through the race just yet. And we're still expecting at least 2 more pit stops from the majority of these drivers. Across the start-finish line go the 2 Holland Racing Team cars. Pascal Pollant, who was lucky to get a lap in qualifying, chasing down Matthias Moos while simultaneously being chased by Robin Panzer and Fabrizio Gobbi. through the chicane. There you go. I mentioned before that Jack Mayer is doing a good job in the TOP car. He is indeed, but there can't really be that many more races that he will do this year. And sorry, what was that, Vince? Yes, yeah. As I was going to say, this might well be his final race in Super League this year, because he's primarily focusing on the Superleague Championship. And if you are full-time in Superleague, then you can only do a maximum of 4 races in Super League before you are not allowed to go back down to Superleague again. There are sometimes exceptions made, but only in really exceptional circumstances where you have to go down to a lower league or you won't be able to race in anything else. GPVWC likes to allow people to race, so you tend to make exceptions on that front. But when it comes to Jack Mayer, I think that he would have just come into this expecting to be a bit of a super sub for 4 races, while TOP find a more permanent solution. So let's hope they do, and we see 2 more TOP, or another TOP driver, taking that seat at the next race, because otherwise Jack Mayer might well not be able to finish the Super Light season, which he stands a good chance of doing very well in. Judging by the results, actually, Jack Mayer won the Super Lights race here at Canada a couple of days ago. That would have been just 2 days ago in a very similar car, so not like he's out of practice, Jack. There you go. Ryan, look at the gap for the lead now. Carlos Martin 4 seconds ahead. That car's not just fast in a straight line, that is fast everywhere.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it was only 1 lap ago I said it was 3 seconds. He's just on another level.
As the HRT swap places. Pascal Pullens having a turn being P4. Moose didn't seem to want to hold him up too much, and that's good teamwork between the 2 of them. The Holland Racing Team cars continue on. Here's Grangfist versus Fisher. 2 drivers who would have expected to be further up. Did they touch there in a straight line? Oh, as into the pits now comes Fisher. It looked as if they touched a bit, because you saw Fisher wiggle, and you don't want to be touching at that kind of speed. The cars reach over 200 miles per hour sometimes down the straight, especially with a slipstream. So Fisher pitted, Hangraf is also in, and those are 2 of the drivers who started the race from the pit lane, so they're very used to the part of the track they're exploring now. Fisher doing a fairly good job to recover to about 17th place in this race, but was being passed by Jan Grangfist there, who will still be hunting for those elusive final few points paying positions, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, for any of them guys on the cusp of the top 15, there's still a good chance, but it's a shame that Dylan wanted, well, it was Dylan's best quality, I think, has turned into what it has. Just reading the YouTube chat, they're saying that the Adonis car looks a bit like the Van Amersfoort racing car. Yeah, I can see that a little bit. I can see that, yeah. It's a good spot by Sergio.
Both Dutch teams, if I'm not very much mistaken, so
yes,
possible coincidence there. I know they like their orange. Meanwhile, into the pits comes Mitchell, Stevens and Kropp, so 3 cars in the pits this time around. And I think I just saw Machete in as well. Yep, so Machete's made his stop. We're on lap 33, so nearing the halfway point in this race, and that is the 2nd stop, so that does very much point towards a 3-stop strategy for most of those guys. And that of course means that we have to keep our eyes peeled for the leaders, Martin, Maguire, Schluter, etc., to see when they decide to make their 2nd stops. And as I say that, Maguire comes in, so Martin will be on his own out there, leading by 5.3 seconds now, as Maguire stops in his box. I'm saying probably another set of mediums for Maguire here. They seem to be the most popular tyre, especially on these short stints that they're doing. And away goes Maguire on the medium tyres. Looked like someone was kicking up a bit of grass up there. Hopefully everyone made the corner. Now that looks like an affected car that he's going past. Janos Brachok there. I think Brachok had a bit of an off midway through that sector of corners. So hopefully no damage or anything too severe. But he definitely lost a bit of time in that, didn't he? Because he was 2 seconds behind Gobby before this all started. No, still about 2 seconds behind Gobby. Didn't lose as much as I thought he might have done. But definitely saw him kicking up a bit of grass. And now Adam Maguire is right on his tail on those fresh tyres, Ryan.
Yeah, this indicates to me that Maguire's going to go for a 3. He only got, what, circa 20 laps out of them mediums that time round. And then Martin on the first stint did go longer as well. So obviously Schluter pits as well now. Probably going for a similar sort of strategy to what Adam is, but I'm interested to see what Carlos does. He went longer in stint 1, he might go longer this time as well. Does that mean he'll go for a 2-stop compared to these guys going for a 3? Not too sure. He didn't go that much longer in the first stint. It was only about 3 laps, I think.
You can be flexible to it. That's the thing with Carlos Martin's current situation. He's got the speed and he's got the tyre life. And he's got the time on track too. Look, 18 seconds ahead of Pascal Pollens. And he's not even racing Pollens for position realistically. So if he made a stop now, he'd come out basically alongside Pascal Pollens. And if he pulls out a little bit more time on this lap, then there's every chance he could actually make a stop and come out in the lead still. It'll be close. Now here's Mark Schluter being held up slightly behind Janos Brachok just as Maguire was a lap ago. Doesn't even want to wait for the straight, goes past into La Pangla. I think he might miss out on getting DRS as a result of that though. No,
I think the detection zone's before the hairpin. So
right, I thought it was just after, but I think you're right. And into the pits now comes Brachok. You have to be really careful coming into the pits when there's a car in front of you, because you can brake so much later. But of course, braking later than the car in front of you does rather leave you vulnerable to running into the back of them. So Brachok does a good job.
That's how I got taken out in my Super Lights race here.
Really?
Yes.
That's actually really bad. I feel sorry for you in that situation. Because if you're not even racing someone properly, if they're coming into the pits, that's got to be so frustrating. Here's George Zalagianis in the Pescara ADG. Am I right in thinking he missed the last race? For some reason, that's just... Might be barking up the wrong tree with that one, but anyway. Why am I looking at the 2024 Super Light season? That's not right. Back to the battle between Matthias Moos and Adam Maguire. Maguire has the tyre advantage, but every second he loses behind Matthias Moos is a second that Martin could theoretically have over him after his stop. With that being said though, Maguire's had more time on the softer compound, on the fresher tyres, so there's also a chance of an undercut. More DRS heading down to turn 1. It's going to be very difficult to get past Robin Pantar in this next section. Takes a look to the inside. Goes through. That was a good move actually from Adam Maguire. Did it much sooner than I was expecting. As for Carlos Martin, still leaving it out there, running long. Doing a very good job out in front. This could well be a 2-stop strategy. Mark Schluter to the inside on Matthias Moos, goes through. Now he's just got Robin Panzer between himself and Adam Maguire up in front. We're past the halfway point in this race now. And every second you spend sitting behind a theoretically slower car is going to feel like a lap. Here we go onto the straight. This should be a relatively straightforward one, Ryan, but a relatively important one in the grand scheme of things as well. And into the pits comes Carlos Martin. Martin pits from the lead.
Yes, and let's see where he comes out in relation to the rest of the guys. He's already leaving the pit lane, but he might get jumped by 1 or 2. It's going to be tight.
Where's Schluter? Oh, there's Schluter caught up in the pack, and there's Maguire. So Martin comes out in front and actually goes past Pollentz into the corner as well, so does retake the lead. Now he's got Pollentz holding up Maguire and Schluter. Is he on soft tyres, or has that just not updated itself yet? He was on medium, so he's on soft. Yeah, very good. Okay, so Martin not only has left it out later than the others, he's gone onto a softer compound. Now, judging by how long he ran that last stint on, I reckon he can do 2 more stints to the end on soft tyres. So that would be a 3-stop strategy, but on a softer compound of tyre than the others. That seems very doable to me.
It probably is. The car's only getting lighter as well now that the fuel's getting lesser and lesser. But what a call by TOP. Literally came out. If it had been 1 lap longer, it would have been a very different story for the rest of this race. Liam Duval saying, how is Adam provisional P1? He's not. Carlos Martin has held that lead unbelievably.
Only just, but yeah, Carlos Martin should now extend his advantage again, just like he did before. And the drivers behind him have got to react to this now as Panzer comes into the pits, because right now it seems that Martin has it all hooked up. Like I said before, he's got the pace, he's got the strategic advantage as there's a locking of wheels between Fabrizio Gobbi and Luke Mitchell. Definite contact there. Sorry, I said Luke Maguire, of course, because Adam Maguire's brother's name is in fact Luke, but no, Luke Mitchell is in this particular race. Hopefully no steering damage picked up by that particular contact with Fabrizio Gobbi. They're both going past Matthew Williams here. DRS wide open on the straight. Don't lock wheels again, guys. That was close. Might have rubbed wheels. Yeah, as I was saying, Maguire, Schluter, etc. have got to react to this because Carlos Martin does have the advantage. It looks right now like it should be relatively easy for him for the rest of the race. So they've now got to start thinking about their final stint, saying, what's Martin going to do? What can we do to counter it? I would say he's going to go onto another set of softs. So I think what they've got to do is go onto another set of softs slightly sooner. Maybe try to get closer with the undercut.
Like you said in the last stint, he holds all the cards. He can react to whatever they do. If they go soft, he just goes soft a lap or 2 later. You know, it's not, or even on this. Well, sorry, not on the same lap because they're behind him. All he has to do is go the lap after, and he can pretty much, obviously it's not guaranteed, but like there's a good chance that he can just hold it.
The only other thing that they could possibly do to get ahead of Carlos Martin would be to stay out to the end from here, but realistically they're not going to do that because the cars at the start of the race were only doing about 18 or 19 laps on medium tyres, so to do, you know, over 30 laps on mediums is pretty much unthinkable. It would mean, of course, as Gobbi slots it to the inside of Panzer and they're about to fight it down the straight, it would mean, of course, that they would have to, or that Martin would have to pass them on the road, but it would also mean that it would be relatively easy for him to do so. As you see, Tom Stevens making a move on Stepkowski as well, so Tom Stevens up into P8, still making up places, and Panzer comes out ahead in the fight between himself and Gobbi, but Gobbi's got the overspeed here on the straight, goes to the inside line, and goes back through. Good racing, parks the bus in front of Panzer, who nudges him up the rear. Remember Nick Heidfeld doing that in 2011 and then flying over his front wing on the next straight as it collapsed underneath him. And luckily that kind of thing doesn't tend to happen quite so drastically in GPVWC Super League, but you still don't want to pick up any front wing damage doing that. Here's another DRS zone. Not a particularly effective one, but Pascal Pollentz is going to try to make the most of it nonetheless, and does. Goes through on Daniel Stepkowski in a place that's not normally an overtaking opportunity, and Schluter to the inside of Maguire, sweeps through to second. Mark Schluter gets second position, and he will now try to hunt down Carlos Martin. Martin still has the speed advantage, but Schluter has clean air in front of him. He's just got to do the best that he possibly can. And the newest Super League race winner has put himself in a good position, because second place would do him very, very well indeed.
quite interesting that on this stint he seems to be faster. Obviously, last time round it was Schluter being passed. Now it's him making the move going forward and hopefully trying to bring down the gap a little bit. Who was that going straight on? Daniel Stepkowski, yeah. Having to skip the chicane, ends up losing the positions as well, having a horrid time.
He's got damage. I think his if we ride on board with him and we take a look at his steering down the straights, I think he's crabbing. I think I see a little bit of a disalignment between his front axle and his rear, as Bratchuk has passed Machete for P6. Oh no, I think he might be okay. It kind of looked from one angle as if he was kind of crabbing slightly. Admittedly, nothing as dramatic as we saw from Janis Warburn earlier on. Unfortunately, we've just lost George Zalagianis and Jeffrey Fournier from this race. Hopefully not related in terms of their ailments. And no, they're not, because Fournier actually retired 3 laps ago. But that is 2 more retirements to add to the list. 23 cars remaining. And Tom Stevens makes a move on Ruben Machete, goes through to P7. So Stevens still on the move, does not want to settle for whatever he has already. He's just got to make sure that he's not pushing too hard. That's what got him in this mess in the first place. And Gobby now all over the back of Pascal Pollins, Ryan.
Yeah, Gobby's on a little bit of a charge. Obviously, I know that he's been quick here in the past. You see, this is Jeffrey Fournier's DNF. Let's see what happens.
Spins it. Half spins it. Tokyo Drift.
Actually fully spin it. But he has absolutely cooked the rear tyres and then just pulls into the pits. Double DNF for Epic Racing. Not particularly sure what happened there. Hopefully somebody can explain in the YouTube chat.
And it was just a pure old double DNF for Epic Racing. Both of them just pulled up into the pits, plain and simple, as did George Zalagianis. Just trying to conserve engine life, I suppose. Got to use these units again before the end of the season. As here is Mark Schluter, still with Adam Maguire in close proximity, but they're dropping back from Carlos Martin, who leads by 5 seconds and is odds on to win this race pretty much no matter what happens at this point, without meaning to place the commentator's curse on anyone, of course. So, as we're 44 laps into this race, Martin leads, followed by Schluter, Maguire, Moose and Mayer. Then Janos Bratchuk, Tom Stevens, Pascal Pollins, Fabrizio Gobbi and Ruben Machete, the top 10. Looks like pretty much everyone is doing a 3-stop strategy. I'm not sure I know of anyone who is doing more. Possibly the Super Venturi guys. I've just seen Lalo into the pits again. But I can't see anyone doing less than that, unless we see anyone staying out really, really long on this particular stint. There are the tyre compounds that everyone is on. Matthias Moose opting for the hard tyres. When did Moose last stop? Moose's last stop was it last lap, or am I interpreting that wrong? That can't be right. I must be looking at the time wrong. Oh, who's that? Someone's in the wall. Machete! Oh no, Machete was doing such a good job today. And Machete has nose and tailed it into the barriers. And that's the opposite wall to the one that people usually hit there. Usually people go into the outside wall, but clearly in trying to avoid the outside wall, he's rather cooked it into the inside wall. There you go, lights up the rear tyres, front and rear, bang, bang. And that'll be a long trip back to the pit lane. You can't just drive backwards down the track to get to it. You've got to do a whole lap with the car crabbing, with the front wing off. Nasty stuff, nasty, nasty. Hello as well to Aqua and Lisa H4U in the YouTube chat. One of my best friends in real life, so good to see you here. Hope you're having a lovely day. And of course, thank you for all of the comments that are coming in from other GPVWC members and racers. Always good to see such an active YouTube chat. keeping us up to date on what's going on behind the scenes. Jack Mayer now being passed by Tom Stevens. Stevens is up into the top 5. This has been quite a recovery drive. Remember, he lost 20 seconds in the pit lane, 20 extra seconds to what he was planning near the start of the race. So if he was to finish in the top 5 after all of this, then that would be a real save for Tom Stevens. Of course, he'll still be disappointed, especially after all of those points lost at the last race. His chance of the championship has rather slipped away, despite how early we are in the season. Of course, behind the scenes, Ed Hunter has been doing a bit of counting, a bit of live maths as to where everyone's going to end up. That's going to need changing now after a couple more moves. Ooh, little touch again. That was Gobby into the back of Bratchuk. Bratchuk's going to be getting pretty sick of that, because remember, earlier in the race he got tipped into a spin by Machete. I think that was Bratchuk anyway, unless I'm very much mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was.
Into the chicane. This is where that happened. Bratchuk P7, not a bad race from Janos so far. Fabrizio Gobbi P8, here comes Matthew Williams, about to gain a place on Hygo Poom, has the DRS. And a relatively straightforward one, as you tend to see on that back straight, when a driver has both DRS and slipstream. And it's important to note that if you have DRS on that straight, you also have DRS down the start-finish straight as well. Because that means that even if you pass someone, even if you get the move done, you're still able to open that slot and use it to pull away rather than to gain. It's not exactly what DRS was intended to be there for, but whatever. All's fair. It's the same the other way around as well. Maguire is not letting Schluter get away, is he? These two need to make sure not to lose too much time, otherwise it's a slam dunk victory for Carlos Martin. But at the time of asking, Adam Maguire is losing time behind Mark Schluter. You can tell that he could just slingshot his way through on the straight if Mark Schluter wasn't making his car that wide. And here comes Fabrizio Gobbi now, a move on Janos Bratchuk, Ryan.
Gobby's been absolutely rapid. He's been flying through. He's been making a few love taps as well as he's gone, but yeah, he's on a charge, isn't he? That's for sure. And now chasing down the back of Jack Mayer. And what do we think's going to happen here? Maguire's sitting behind, so he gets into the DRS detection zone. I think this could be the lap where we see a move. If he waits any longer, Schluter will start getting DRS from the lap cars that seem to be ahead of them. So he needs to do it now or never, really.
Good point. I guess it depends on whether they're aiming for second or first, whether they still think they have a chance of the win. Because the better thing to do in that situation would probably be to sit behind unless you get a really good run out of a corner. Otherwise, you're going to be risking your car, you're going to be losing time compared to the leader, but you might well get the move done. Here comes Gobbi again. So did Pollins get back? No, Pollins is... because it was Bratchuk he passed at the start of the last lap, so he's now attempting to get past Pollins. Janos Bratchuk is into the pits, probably sick of people ramming him from behind, wants to get some clean air front and rear. Luke Mitchell P10, little twitch, keeps it under control. And here are Matthew Williams and Dylan Fisher. Good drive from Matthew Williams. As it was pointed out in the YouTube chat, the Zortax is potentially the most underdeveloped car at this point in the championship, and he's running in the top 14.
I'm sure with the way that their upgrade strategy goes, we'll have a strong car for the next round at Barcelona. So got to play the long game sometimes, going a little bit different to everybody else, but newer team as well, so not going to have quite as many probably R&D points as some of the others.
Also worth noting that István Zingal is in 16th position, just one place outside of the points. Stax got so close last time out to their first point of the year as Zolt Shooks finished in 16th position. And on the 6th time of asking, surely this time Stax have got to come away with something. Fabrizio Gobbi all over the back of Jack Mayer now because he's got past Robin Pansart. Still gaining places. Yellow flag out there somewhere. Puma side by side. Oh, who's that? Ruben Machete. Oh. Okay, well, we've been told that Ruben Machete's been into the wall. Now, we saw a shunted car at the side of the road, front wing off. That could be race over for Machete because he's clearly had multiple incidents now. Probably time to call it a day, Ryan.
Yeah, all the way down in P23, I believe, at the moment. So not a good day in the office, and he has now, yes, DNF leaving. 22 cars, Lalu rounding up the field. I don't think I've ever said that before. I'm so very surprised to see that.
Venturi.
Yeah,
oh,
so
look at that! Gobbi, oh, runs straight over. He was trying to make a move on Jack Mayer, who's now coming to the pits. Didn't quite know that Pascal Pollens was alongside him at the same time. Made a little bit of contact. Now we're going to see a replay of Ruben Machete's incident. We're on board with the Green Stripes car. Now it'll be here on the exit. Oh, loses it into the barriers.
Big snap that.
Quite late to have an accident there. Normally you have it much earlier in the corner. A race over for Ruben Machete. Here is our race leader, Carlos Martin, leading by 11 seconds now. This is one of the more dominant performances that we've seen this year, despite the dominant championship standings. Isfang Singal is into the pits, as are Moritz Kropp and Stein Handgraf. Three drivers who still have a chance of points despite being outside of it now. Jack Mayer through on Matthew Williams, those two having a good old scrap. They must have pitted... No, haven't quite pitted this time on this pit window. I expect we're about to see pretty much everyone pouring into the pits because we've got 18 laps to go in this race, and that's like the Scots. So expect at least Martin, Schluter, Maguire, Stevens, etc. to come in soon. With that being said though, you can never bank on that kind of thing. Sometimes in Super League people realise late on that their only chance is to stay out really long and run to the end to force people to make overtaking manoeuvres. But at this point in time, it looks as if the third pit window is still going to happen. You can see Dylan Fisher is in the pits as well. Just to show how dominant Carlos Martin is being at this point in time, we haven't really seen that many cars finishing races a lap down so far this year, as Janos Brachok is going side by side with Chris Shepherd. No opportunity there. But just to finish my point, everyone from 16th place down is currently not on the lead lap. Now that's probably partly due to strategy. A lot of those drivers have made an extra pit stop. But still, that's quite something from Carlos Martin, as Janos Brachok now gets into the top 10. Stevens is in the pits, so Stevens pits for his last stint, as does Fabrizio Gobbi. Now I'd like to take a look at Stevens if possible. I want to see if they're going on to soft tyres, because I think that that's pretty much inevitable at this point in time. Luke Mitchell also into the pits. Brachok was weaving all the way down the straight to try to stop the Chris Shepherd Edge Esports car from being able to get back through. There is Tom Stevens on pit exit, crucially gets out just in front of Janos Brachok and gets the clean air that comes with it. If he'd been held up behind Brachok, Brachok would not have wanted to get out of the way. He'd have cost himself too much time in doing so. So that is exactly what Tom Stevens would like to see. Here comes Schluter and Maguire. No pit stops. They're leaving it later than I thought they would. Because honestly, I think their chance of the victory's gone away now. Their only real chance was to go on to softs much sooner than Martin and try to undercut him. Martin here is just staying out as long as he needs. he can afford to pit a couple of laps after Schluter and Maguire. Honestly, at this point, you have to start to wonder whether he can afford to not pit at all. Pascal Pollance into the pits as well. But Ryan, I'm surprised they've left it this late. I'd have thought the soft tyres could do at least 18, 19 laps.
Yeah, so am I. I was a bit surprised to see him go on to the mediums. It wasn't what I thought, but you might just be thinking he needs to get a few overtakes done. It might be easier for the guys who've got a bit of air in front of them and know they're not going to have to be overtaking cars to go on to the softs. They're not going to have to work them quite as hard. Maguire's still just sitting there. DRS, he's actually closing it early as well. He doesn't want to make the pass.
Are these guys not to the end? Are they playing a game of chicken or something?
I don't think so. I think he's just trying to save a bit of push to pass, bit of tyres. Maybe wants to. Why would he save tyres if he's going to go do another pit stop soon? I'm not sure really. He just clearly doesn't want to lead. Really, he's quite just happy sitting where he's sitting. Sitting where he's sat at the moment. Watching what Schluter's doing, learning where he's fast, where he's slow.
And Ruth's just passed Panzer, that's for 4th place. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, maybe we'll see him. I don't know. He might make the lap that he wants to pit. As daft as that sounds. We'll see. Yeah, it is weird for him to be shutting off DRS though, in the situation they're in at the moment, other than trying to save push to pass.
Matthew Williams into the pits. Let's see if any of these guys come in this time. Martin's in. Martin is in from the lead. Now is the moment of truth. What do Maguire and Schluter do? They stay out. They stay out once again. Carlos Martin is in the pits, probably going for softs. Now surely, even if Maguire and Schluter stay out to the end, surely Maguire, on his soft tyres, on his fresh soft tyres, will be completely impossible to hold back. I don't see why Maguire and Schluter haven't pitted yet, because the soft tyres can easily do more than 14 laps on a light fuel load. Martin comes out in 3rd position. He's 6 seconds behind Maguire and Schluter with 14 laps to go. Panzer's in the pits now as well. There's no universe in which Carlos Martin does not pass Adam Maguire and Mark Schluter here, providing he keeps his wings on and everything like that. And we're at the point. Whoa! Big lockup for Jan Grankvist, who nearly runs into the back of Luke Mitchell. Only just realises at the last time. Oh yeah, I can't go through people into the pits. I've got to brake. Locks up the tyres and luckily slows it down in time. So Shepard and Grankvist into the pits. And it still looks like Jan Grankvist is in danger of not scoring any points at all today. This is bizarre. Adam Maguire leads from Mark Schluter, who twitches. They stay out yet again. Surely they're staying out to the end now. Heaven knows why, but they're staying out. And it's the point in the race as well where we've got to start talking about fastest lap, because you get an extra point for that. Currently Martin holds the fastest lap by my reckoning. And on those soft tyres, it's hard to see that he won't be even faster. Fabrizio Gobbi is currently on for a lap that could... No, he's lost time in the 2nd sector, but his 1st sector was very quick. Earlier on, it looked like Tom Stevens might take it. Here comes Carlos Martin, on the brink of a maximum points haul, but he's got to get past those 2 cars in front of him as cleanly as he possibly can. He can take his time about it, honestly. He's got time left in the race. And the 2 cars in front of him are only going to get worse as the race progresses. But look how fast he's catching them already, Ryan.
These two aren't fighting Carlos, and they know it. I think the reason we're not seeing either of them, I'm going to hold off on what I say because now one of them has just gone in. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I think it was more a battle between them two of who was gonna pit first, or would they have just went to the end? But yeah, Schluter's gone gone for the
Yeah.
box, so let's see what happens.
But I'd have thought that pitting sooner would have been better. So it's not like there's
Right.
any point to that game of chicken that we just saw. But anyway, Schluter pits, comes out third, has just about enough time over Matthias Moos. Came out right with Matthias Moos by the look of the times. Whoa, very ragged from Carlos Martin out of that corner. Last time around, he did indeed set the fastest lap of the race, beating his own personal best time. Martin will almost definitely come away from this one with maximum points, but let's watch him get past Adam Maguire here. See if he can do it nice and cleanly. To be honest though, with the speed we saw from the TOP esports car, he's just got to hold back and then blast it through on the straight. Barely even waits for DRS. There he goes. Got ahead even before the DRS activation zone. Carlos Martin retakes the lead of the race with 12 laps to go, and into the pits comes Adam Maguire. Now let's watch this, because Maguire is in a straight race with Mark Schluter. Where is he going to come out in relation to the Edge Esports car? He'll go for soft tyres. He'll have 11 laps to go. There you see the tyres go red. It's red tyre wall for the soft tyres, yellow for the mediums, and white for the hards. And Schluter's gone through. You saw him just up ahead in the corner. And Matthias Moos has gone through as well, but Moos is running longer. So expect to see... Oh, Moos has not gone through, my apologies. So Maguire stays ahead of Matthias Moos because of the way those corners work. I guess the question now is whether Tom Stevens can catch Matthias Moos before the end of the race, because he's about nearly a second faster per lap. He's 8 seconds behind and there's about 11 laps to go. I think that's going to be the next major race to watch, Stevens versus Moos. Now, if you are watching the live timing, you'd be forgiven for thinking that this is a qualifying session with Martin and Schluter setting purple sectors each. Schluter will probably gain on Martin towards the end of this race, but don't panic. It's Martin's still got it under control, and you can see by the lap he's just set 1:12.341. He beats his own personal best by nearly 7/10 of a second. Surely surely Carlos Martin will take the extra point for fastest lap here. And the race is very much down to him now. If he can keep it clean to the end, if he can pass the back markers cleanly, he'll win this race. Almost easy peasy, Ryan.
Well, certainly not easy peasy for him driving, I'm sure, but yeah, it has certainly looked that way. And what a shock. To me, at least. We know he's fast, but this kind of dominance, wow. That's all I can say is wow.
You see, this goes very much against something that was just said in the YouTube chat. Liam Duval said, "My biggest gripe with GPWC every year is that the car is too easy. The whole field qualifies within 0.8 seconds. That may be true, but I would call that a good thing, because, first of all, yes, development does affect it, but at the same time it stays close. It stays so that there's never a reason to give up. And realistically, when you see dominant performances like this from Carlos Martin, it happens because they've simply driven the best. They are simply the best car and driver combination on the day. And it's so rare to see domination of this level, especially considering, I mean, Carlos Martin wasn't even on the first 2 rows of the grid. He started 6th. He was 6th place at the start of this one. He's come through to lead and he's run away with it. I mean, that speaks to his strategy. That speaks to how he set the car up, where he's not got too bogged down by the fact the car didn't have the qualifying pace. He's gone, right, I'm going to gain the place in the race, and that's where you score the points. So ultimately, you have to say that Carlos Martin properly deserves this one.
Yeah, I completely agree. I couldn't care what the qualifying looks like. I don't care what the race looks like. If everyone wants to do absolutely loads of hot lap practice, and there are a bunch of hot lappers so they can get within a second in quali, then good for them. But when it's come to the race, there's been a right shake-up of people who've, you know, done a lot more race prep, whether that be through setup or just doing the laps themselves, and delivered a result that none of us expected, that's for sure.
Indeed, indeed. We have 8 laps to go. Martin leads by almost 17 seconds and has the fastest lap to boot. We also have 22 cars left in the race, with 20 of those still on the lead lap, some of them in danger of being lapped relatively imminently. Here we go down the back straight. We're watching Matthew Williams on the back of Dylan Fisher. Fisher, of course, who qualified much better, but was involved in a bizarre and rather invisible accident on the formation lap, which we will have to ask about later, because you very rarely see things like that happen, and we didn't see that happen, so plenty to unpack with that. Matthew Williams, meanwhile, has driven an aggressive race, not a particularly fast one, but still an improvement for him. He qualified 23rd on the grid, so he's gained 15 places all in all. Weaving about on the tail of the AKA Hero car. Always hard to pick a driver of the day with GPVWC Super League. The easy answer is always whoever qualifies on pole and wins the race, because these cars, while they're not equal, they have been developed as the season carries on. They're all based on equal machinery. They're all much more equal than you would see in the real world of Grand Prix racing, and so it tends to be that whoever wins did the best. But at the same time, look at Matthew Williams coming through. They bang wheels down the straight. Aggressive maneuver, and he does go through to 14th. And that's what I was going to say. At the same time, you have to give a word to the drivers who have gained positions the most, who have taken the situation they were given and made the most of that, of wherever it was. And Matthew Williams, of course, was given a not great Zortax car and put himself in a not great qualifying position. But he's made it work. He's going to come away with at least 2 points by the look of it, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, that's... well, you could even get a few more, but great achievement considering that car is... there's no arguing, it's the most underdeveloped on the grid at the moment, and he's managing to do what he has to, get a few points for the team. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, this championship. We're only on round 6 of 18, or was it 16, sorry. So there's a long way to go, and points make prizes at the end of the day, and that's what he's playing for. And he could even get a couple more.
Moritz Kropp here may not score any points at this rate, but if he can get himself into 16th, then he just needs one DNF from someone up in front of him, and through he goes on high go, boom, but he gets it wrong over the curb. Poom gives him a little shove from behind, says, go on then, get on with it. And Moritz does indeed get that 16th position done and dusted. 6 laps to go, including the one that's just been started by Carlos Martin. I say 6, of course, because lap 70 is its own lap, so it's not as simple as taking 70 and subtracting 65. And Schluter has broken the DRS from Maguire, I've noticed. He's over a second ahead of him. Talking of DRS though, Fabrizio Gobbi will make the most of this one. Goes through on Janos Bracciok. Flies over the curbs. It's like watching an excited puppy jumping up to greet you as the car bounces over those little sausages. And the driver tries his absolute best to hang on to it. Now what happened to... oh, he's swapping places. So Bracciok, I noticed, had a slow exit to the corner, but that's because he was letting Robin Pansar go through into 9th place. Clearly Pansar has more of a chance of keeping up with and potentially repassing Fabrizio Gobbi, and so Bracciok didn't want to hold him up. So that is what that change of position was. And Maguire's now back in DRS range of Mark Schluter, Ryan.
Yeah. It's going up and down like a yo-yo, isn't it? But Maguire's picking up the pace at the right time as well. It's fair to say.
He really has picked up the pace actually, because he just got within half a second with the aid of that DRS. So you wonder if this is the start of a push from Adam Maguire now, with 5 laps, including the one they're on, to go until the end of the race. This is his chance to get up into that second position. And remember what Ed Hunter said earlier on, he's not just going for a slightly higher step on the podium, he's going for second place in the championship today, depending on where his main rivals finish. So, up towards the hairpin they go. You don't necessarily want to make a move into the hairpin, even if you can, because then you'll be vulnerable on the exit. Your opponent can get the better run down the straight. But this time, Maguire will have the DRS. He's much closer to Schluter. This will be an opportunity for second position in the race, with just 4 laps to go. He's not close enough, not this time. There'll be another DRS zone just here, but this isn't normally an overtaking opportunity, unless you're really desperate. He's pretty close though. Takes a little look. Mark Schluter covers it off. Maybe next time. Maguire just does not seem to have quite the same amount of unaided pace on the straight. He can gain with slipstream and DRS open, but you have to say, if you put those 2 cars in a drag race, the Edge Esports would probably come out on top right now. Reminds me very much of Jeddah, where the THRs were fastest around a lap, but then you put them in a race scenario and they just could not pass and could not hold people off. And that's why Jan Grankvist was able to pick up his first Grand Prix win on that occasion. Just saw a swap of positions. Chris Shepard has passed Daniel Stepkowski for P12. And points go down to P15 here, so the points still being debated late on into the race, as are the podium positions. Keep your eyes peeled on Adam Maguire versus Mark Schluter. Once again, DRS wide open. This time he gets alongside him. They're side by side, and Adam Maguire does go through into second position. Maguire up to P2. What can Schluter do about that? We've got 3 laps left, and he will not take that lying down, Ryan.
He will not. There's still time, but great for Maguire to get that done. Well, yeah, only a few laps to go as well, not too long to hold on. But will Schluter have the tyres to fight or the push to pass as well? We saw Maguire sitting back earlier on in the race and, you know, backing out with what could have been moves on Schluter. I said that the only reason he'd be doing that was to save push to pass, so this might be what he was saving it for.
Indeed. Oh, running a little bit, taking a bit of curb there. I'm sorry to see Istvan Xingel has just come back into the pits. His race was looking promising earlier on. It looked like he might get a top 15 for stacks, but on this occasion just dropped back and has since come back into the pits. Now that's probably just to have a crack at beating his personal best lap, since he knew he couldn't get points, as they both now pass Thomas Voch, another driver who would have expected more from this particular race. But anyway, I still think Carlos Martin's fastest lap is going to be pretty unbeatable in these late stages. Fabrizio Gobbi still on the back of Robin Panzer, fighting for P8. Janos Brachok is in close attendance. And does that mean, I think Panzer must have got back past Gobbi, right? Because I'm sure Gobbi was ahead of both of the Adonis engineering cars last time we looked. And that's not Janos Brachok you see just behind those 2 cars. That's the lapped Stax racing car of Istvan Xingel. But yeah, it's currently Robin Panzer holding P8 with this lap and then 1 more to go in this race. So, final lap now. Carlos Martin has begun his final tour of the circuit, leading by 16 seconds. The real battle is that for second position between Maguire and Schluter, as Schluter still has the DRS and we think is slightly faster in a straight line. He'll have probably 1 more. Oh! Sorry, I just got completely jump scared there. But yes, he'll have one more opportunity, one more real chance to get past to get past Adam Maguire on the last lap of the race. Martin extending his advantage to 17 seconds now. I just made absolutely everyone in a 15-mile radius jump. That was crazy. Half a lap to go for Carlos Martin. What was that, Ryan?
I thought that was a sneeze.
Should have owned it. Should have been a sneeze, yeah. Up towards the hairpin we go. Let's take a look at Carlos Martin if we can, because he cannot be far away from crossing the finish line. Carlos Martin, what a wonderful race he's driven. He's going to cross the line and become another brand new GPWC Super League winner. And what a dominant victory it has been. Adam Maguire will just about hold on to second from Mark Schluter. Over the curbs they go, up towards the line. Adam Maguire does hold on to second. Now we'll have to check and see if he does take second in the championship as a result of that. And it looks as if it's going to be pretty close to the line as well between Gobby and Panzer, but even closer between Gobby and Xingel, who does not want to finish a lap down. So Martin wins, Maguire second, Schluter third, then Moose and Stevens the top five. Good recovery drive from Tom Stevens. And donuts for Carlos Martin. He is over the moon with his first... Sorry, I can't get over the chat room responding to my jump scare there. Lucas Dylan says, what happened there? My mum came into my room completely unannounced. And because I've got my headset volume quite high up, I didn't hear her until I looked around and she was like standing right next to me. So I do apologize, but that was not my fault. Blame my mother. But also, look at Carlos Martin having a wonderful time out there. It's great to see so many new Super League winners this season as well. Remember, the very first race of the year was won by Owen McGorky. That was his first win. Jan Grankvist was the next to win, then Mark Schluter, and now Carlos Martin. So the 4 GPWC victors this year have all been brand new winners, and all very, very well deserved indeed. With that being said, I've seen better donuts than that. So now we wait for the full results, but Ryan Elliott, what do you make of this man, Carlos Martin? What a mature drive.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. For it to come from 6th and to drive like that, win like that's very impressive. Especially when you look at the people who were around him. Mark Schluter, obviously being a race winner last time out, now he knows how to win races. I really thought that he was going to be the one to kind of watch after Stevens had that issue in the first stint, but no, Carlos Martin proved us all wrong. Got strategy perfect and was absolutely rapid.
So Carlos Martin wins his first GPWC Grand Prix victory. Adam Maguire was second, followed by Mark Schluter. Matthias Moose, Tom Stevens, good recovery drive. Pascal Pollens P6, then Jack Mayer, another good recovery drive. Robin Panzer P8, then Fabrizio Gobby and Janos Brachok. Those are the top 10. P11, Luke Mitchell, then Chris Shepard P12, Matthew Williams P13, Daniel Stepkowski P14, Dylan Fisher will be very disappointed with P15, depending on what actually happened on that formation lap, skating into the pit lane, brilliant stuff. Moritz Kropp misses out on a point, comes home a lap down in 16th. Then Heigo Poom, Jan Grankvist, no points for our championship leader, who will maintain his championship lead, but does not extend it. A very unexpected result for Super Venturi. Stein Hangraf P19, then Jukka Pekka-Laulu in P20. P21, Tomas Vok, and then István Xingel was the last finisher in 22nd place. And then plenty of DNFs. Machete crashed twice. Zalagianis, Fournier and Vauban all pulled up. Salt Shooks, I'm not sure if we saw what happened to him, but he retired, so did Philip Pushkate, Jim Parisis and Germano Zapala. So those were the 30 cars that started, 22 that finished, and a brand new winner. Amari Watson points out that all of his teammates have ended up as race winners. Wow. So, Amari, when can I race with you in something? Yes, please. There you see the calendar. We've driven 6 rounds of this championship so far. There will be 16. The next will be the Spanish Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. On the 4 weeks' time, my apologies. We have the spring break. I'm too used to saying 2 weeks. So unfortunately, no GPWC for a little while. But when we return, we will be in Spain. And then the Austrian Grand Prix will bring us up to the halfway point in the season. But in the meantime, let's get some interviews, shall we? Let us bring in our brand new race winner, Carlos Martin. Hello.
Hello.
Carlos, that is your first GPWC Super League Grand Prix win. I tell you what, though, what a mature drive. Only 6th on the grid, but you dominated that strategy. You dominated the pace in the end, and also got the fastest lap to boot. How did you do that?
Well, and the first thing I told to Victor and to Domi, and to Jack, that if I started the race above P8 or top 7, I would win the race by 10 seconds. I think Vincent. No, Vincent didn't hear it. But yeah, I was very confident. Although when I saw the Tom's lap, I thought, well, maybe he's out of range, but. We were confident that we could do a good race. It has been very rough weeks because I want to dedicate this victory to 2 persons that are having a rough time, and I care so much about them, and that's why I changed my helmet this race. And to Olga and Adri, I know they're having a very bad time, and I care so much about them.
Oh,
Sorry.
Carlos, this means a lot to you, I can tell, and I think that's a very, very good gesture that you've done there, and a very emotional win, but a very well deserved one as well. Wow, Carlos. So obviously it's been an up and down year for TOP Esports with Owen McGorgy getting your first victory, and then leaving the team. And of course, Jack Mayer, we don't know how many more races, if any, he's going to drive this year. So how do you feel in terms of how this is going to affect the team, and what's the plan moving forwards?
Well, the plan moving forward is, Jack cannot do more reserve races. So first of all, he did amazing. He had to deal with very 2 not competitive cars at China and at Imola, and he jumped to do the job. And today he did absolutely amazing. So I thank him for that, and the positive attitude he had as well, because he did the RD points as well. And then the plans, I mean, Owen will come back for Spa, and the idea is that Alex Lehu will do the next 3 races for TOP, Barcelona, Austria, and Silverstone. And I think this victory for me, it meant not only in the personal level, in my competitive level, to show up that I can step up as a reference in the team if needed as well.
Absolutely. Well, I can hear how much it means to you, and I know how much this kind of win can change how you feel about racing, about whatever's going on in life. So I'm sure that your friends will be watching on, and will be very, very happy to see how well you did today. And I am also very proud of you, Carlos, because I've been following your career for a while, and I think that you drove a masterful race today, one of the best that I've seen. Ryan, do you have anything to add to our brand new Super League race winner?
Nothing other than a massive congratulations. First one's done now. And it was a great point that you made. You can kind of prove to whoever your future teammate's going to be that you can set the pace and you can be that benchmark. So very well done. Hopefully more to come.
Thank you. I want to mention one more thing. My first premier podium in a category class was in FSRWC at Canada, 2014. It was 10 years ago, and now 10 years later, I get the W at Canada. It was, I don't know. I'm actually not really good at this track, but everything clicked this time, and thank you everyone and to my team, all the people that is behind, because it's not just me, it's everyone who is testing, everyone who is giving feedback, and yeah, I think this will give a great boost for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Okie dokie, so as is tradition, we're going to move on to second place in the race. Adam Maguire. Adam, do you hear us?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now that was quite a race between you and Mark Schluter right to the end. And very interesting in terms of strategy and stuff. We'll get onto that in a bit, but first of all, how was it racing Mark and getting the win, getting second place so close to the end?
Yeah, I respect Mark, so I was always going to give him space, and I think he was following me for a bit to save tires, and I was following him for a bit to save tires, so I think we always knew we were fighting for second because Carlos' pace was too strong. But yeah, no, it was a good race, and I think I was always just waiting at the end for him to pit so I could do the well, not the overcut, but basically have fresher tires in the end, and yeah, worked out.
Fantastic. Well, it definitely did work out because for a long time we were wondering exactly what was going on strategy-wise. You stayed out much later than was expected, and it almost looked like you were playing a bit of a game of chicken with Mark towards the end. What was the thinking behind that? Why did you stay out so long before the third stop?
I think I just knew one of us was going to go slots at the end, so I think our strategy was to go mediums around lap 50-ish, and yeah, go from there. But Toby was in my ear saying, "Stay out until he pits, and then go in for softs." And yeah, I think we both had the same idea, but I think I would have stayed out till I don't know, lap 65. If I can go on the softs just one lap after him, it would have been worth it. So yeah,
Why
it was a good race in the end.
why one lap after him and not one lap before?
Because these tires are so sensitive to thermal dig, so I expected Mark to try to do the undercut and push, but his tires would be thermally kind of degraded a lot by lap 1, so I think it would have been. That's why I was able to claw him back after like 2 or 2.5 seconds over a few laps, just because my thermal dig was less than his.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of one of the only races where this car is very sensitive to thermal dig, so overcuts and kind of staying out longer sometimes work, which is something we're learning.
Now, Adam, we've got a 4-week break ahead of us rather than the usual 2 break. What are you going to be doing over these next 4 weeks? And is there anything specific that you can focus on?
Knowing myself, I probably won't even touch shore factor for about 4 weeks. I'll probably
Wow.
go. I'll probably go on iRacing or something. Maybe learn different driving styles there. Maybe come back and refresh a bit because yeah, I think recently I've not been doing a lot of laps for these races. I mean, today I think I did my first laps around 7 o'clock, and I had no prep going into the race. Just had the setup, and I mean, I was competitive, but it just I don't really want to be turning up and just doing mediocre. I want to try win the races.
Do you not think that if you started practicing maybe a day before, you could win races?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, busy life, busy work life.
Fair enough, fair enough. I was rather cheeky with that question anyway. Congratulations on your second position, and I believe you might be second in the championship now. I think it's close between you and Tom.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's like quite surprising.
Congrats anyway.
Cheers, thank you.
Okie dokie. We're going to continue the trend, and we're going to move on to third place in the race. Mark Schluter. Hello, Mark.
Hi.
Hello. So you have finished third in this race, but it was not exactly straightforward. Right up until the end, you were fighting with Adam. What was the kind of defining point in your race with him? What ended up sealing the deal in his favor?
Probably
the first stint, we pitted too early and came out behind a lot of other cars in traffic, which cost us a lot of time.
Okay. Was it always going to be a 3-stop strategy from the start?
Yeah, we planned the free stop from the beginning.
I mean that was kind of the the general consensus across the whole grid, but I was a bit confused towards the end when I saw you and Adam staying out so long together. It almost seemed like a bit of a game of chicken, as we were saying. Adam says that was because of the thermal deg, and he says that staying out one lap longer is what allowed him to get through into second place. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, probably. As you saw with Carlos, he had like four laps fresher tires after his first 2 stops, and it gave him a big advantage against me and Adam. We
And from a personal
we only
point of view as well. Sorry, I was wondering, now that you've got 2 podiums in a row after your first victory, surely this kind of cements you as a more of a front runner in Super League. How's this going to affect your confidence moving forwards?
Well, I think we can fight for the top steps more often, I hope, and maybe end the championship in the first 3 positions. But even if Jan didn't score any points today, he's still a long way ahead because of the first races.
You never know, though. It's getting closer. I believe you might be 4th or 5th in the championship now, so all to play for, Mark.
Yeah, we'll see next. We have a bigger break now. Maybe we can fine-tune our setup a bit more in this time and come back stronger. It's Barcelona, where I got my first podium last year in Super League. So yeah, I mean, and now I have a better car this year. Coming to this track last year, I was like in the third worst car, and I still almost won the race. So let's see what Barcelona brings this year.
Indeed. Well, congratulations on 3rd place anyway. That was a very strong performance for you, and I'm sure that we're going to see plenty more strong performances for the rest of the year.
Thank you.
Okie dokie. So that was Mark Schluter. Still a few more people in the waiting room. I'll extend it to 4 interviews. There is Jan Grangfist. I'm kind of interested to see what. Yeah, okay. Let's bring in our championship leader, Jan Grangfist. Jan, are you there?
Hello there. I'm here.
Good stuff. Now, I'm afraid we might be ending this broadcast on a rather downer note because this was not a particularly good day for you. Now, you told me coming into today that you were going to be about half a second off the pace, and I was very much in the train of thought of, well, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm afraid I've seen it, Jan. What happened?
Well, yeah, it was interesting. To be honest, I'm not that bothered. I mean, I just feel a bit bad for Lalo as well, because I mean, he's my teammate, and I'm the one who takes care of the upgrade path of the car. And since the last few rounds haven't been so great, it's been a bit demotivating, to say the least. But for me, myself, I'm a bit shook, because I said half a second, and I myself was still thinking, it's not going to be that bad, maybe. But it really was. And that just shows how much the upgrades mean this year. It's a lot more than last year, let me tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, it was 9/10 of a second in qualifying. What's the ultimate plan? Is it kind of short-term pain for long-term gain?
Yeah, the original plan was that. I mean, we're definitely getting a big upgrade again for Spain at least, so we shouldn't be as much off. I don't know what it's going to compare to the others, so I'm a bit anxious about that, to be honest, because I want this championship battle to not be too stressful, you know.
It's getting closer.
It definitely is, but yeah, that's the plan, is getting big upgrades for Spain, and then looking at what we might have gotten wrong in the upgrade selection, and going forward from there. but yeah, today was really just we knew it was going to be a drop round. Not quite how bad it was going to be. Like we really didn't expect to be this far off, but it is what it is.
Indeed. Well, one thing I'm thinking about as well is that the Spanish Grand Prix circuit I always thought was quite heavy on tyre wear, whereas the circuit Gilles Villeneuve I'd have thought would have been better for it. But we saw people doing 3-stop strategies today. So what are we going to see next time? 4 stops?
Well, it's more about the tyre compounds we've used. The tyre compounds seem to vary a lot in whether they're thermally limited or just general wear limited. And this time around, the last 2 rounds we've been using the C3 to C5 tyres, and they're very thermally limited. So the option is either to really, really underdrive it, or then just, I don't know, find your own rhythm and hope for the best. We haven't really seemed to find a good trick for it yet. So the C3, C5 tyres are, if we could say, a bit of a Achilles heel. But then the other big difference is that the circuit of Canada is very rear tyre limited as well, and this car in general just doesn't like being rear limited. So it's difficult to manage it during the race, especially with these tyres. So that's why we saw this many stops in Canada, and we'll probably see something a bit more regular again in Spain, I'd imagine.
Okay, well, thank you for letting us know, and commiserations. I'm afraid this was not your best performance, but I'm sure you'll come back swinging.
Thank you.
Okie dokie, so that will wrap it up for the interviews today, but thank you to everyone that we interviewed. Thank you as well to all of you for watching along and for your YouTube comments. I always very much appreciate reading those, whether they're informative or just funny or just a good community atmosphere like we have here in GPVWC. Unfortunately, we have a 4-week break now, so there will be no Super League when you next expect it. And I'm sure that we're all going to be very excited for it to come back when we come back for the Spanish Grand Prix in 4 weeks' time. In the meantime, look out for the junior categories, which will be coming up in the 2 weeks leading up to the Grand Prix. Of course, we'll have FS2, FS1, and Super Lights. That will be SL2, of course, and a couple of academy races I'm sure we can sprinkle in there in the meantime. But anyway, from me and Ryan Elliott and our broadcast director, Vincent Gutt, who I completely forgot to thank, so thank you very much, Vince. You've been amazing. It's goodbye and see you in 4 weeks' time.